In this past year, the Jewish family lost many precious souls, some of them household names, many less well known, yet each of them made special contributions of their own and touched the lives of many of us. And so as we close the year together, we pay tribute in a moment of sacred memory. David Azulai, a member of the Sephardic Orthodox Shas party for more than 20 years, who also served as Israel's Minister for Religious Services from 2015 until his resignation when the Knesset voted to create an egalitarian section at the Western Wall. Ephraim Stern, an Israeli archaeologist specializing in ancient Israel, Judah, and Phoenicia, known for his excavations at Tel Dor and serving as chairman of Hebrew University's Institute of Archaeology and as chairman of the Archaeological Committee of the State of Israel. Frank Meisler, a survivor who was part of the Kinder transport and became a noted Israeli architect and sculptor, whose works include a memorial to David Ben-Gurion, Eternal Kiev, and a series of Kinder transport memorials. Shlomo Aronson, an Israeli landscape architect whose works included an archaeological park, freeway planting schemes and urban plazas, including 4 healing gardens at the entrance to the Hadassah Medical Center in Ein Kerem. Jose Quero, an Argentinian immigrant to Israel who served as president of the Association of Latin American Immigrants and was the founder of the Latino Cultural Center for Artistic Expression from the Hispanic world. Noam Sharif, one of Israel's most versatile and world-renowned musicians, whose symphony Festival Prelude was first performed at the opening of the Mann Auditorium in Tel Aviv by the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra under the direction of Leonard Bernstein, and later to become himself the music director of the Israel Philharmonic and go on to be awarded the Israel Prize for Music. Aaron Appelfeld, a survivor who became a renowned Israeli novelist, writing more than 45 books of fiction dealing with the Holocaust and the beginning of the State of Israel, for which he won the Israel Prize for Literature in 1983 and twice received the Prime Minister's Prize. Moshe Mizrahi, the only Israeli filmmaker to win an Academy Award for his Best Foreign Language Film, Madame Rosa, with Simone Signoret, who was also nominated for Oscars for 2 other films and was the recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Prize from the Israeli Academy of Film and Television. Eliyahu Winograd, an Israeli judge on Israel's Supreme Court, who famously chaired the Winograd Commission that investigated the failures of the 2006 Israel-Lebanon conflict. Ari Fuld, a 45-year-old American-born father of 4, who became an Israeli television journalist and saw himself as an advocate for Israel throughout the world, as well as working with the NGO Standing Together, providing support to Israeli soldiers. Ari was stabbed in the back by a Palestinian terrorist outside a shopping mall at the Gush Etzion Junction and later died in Jerusalem's Shaarei Tzedek Medical Center. JBS viewers saw Ari Fuld as one of the co-hosts of the program Israeli Frenemies. 11 members of the Tree of Life congregation in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh, who on Shabbat morning, October 27, 2018, were murdered by an anti-Semite who shot them to death with an assault rifle and 2 handguns in the worst single attack on American Jews in the history of the United States. Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz, brothers Cecil Rosenthal and David Rosenthal, husband and wife Sylvan Simon and Bernice Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Unger. Hermann Schein, one of the last survivors of the 200 prisoners who miraculously escaped Auschwitz. Martin Hoffman, a survivor who lost his entire family in the Holocaust and became a British professional bridge player and writer. Sala Kirshner, a Holocaust survivor who managed to hide 350 letters, postcards, and photographs from Nazi guards, which later became a book written by her daughter Anne entitled Sala's Gift. Henry Morgenthau III, American author and television producer, and a member of the famous Morgenthau family. Richard Narodoff Goodwin, an American writer and presidential advisor who was an aide and speechwriter to Presidents John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, and to Senator Robert F. Kennedy. George Lyle Lindemann, an American billionaire businessman and philanthropist who was the chairman and CEO of Southern Union Pipeline, owned 19 Spanish-language radio stations, and for whom the Lindemann Young Artist Development Program at the Metropolitan Opera is named. Anita Hirsch, Jewish activist and philanthropist who advocated for persecuted Jews around the world, and in the 1970s brought diplomatic attention to Jews in the Soviet Union, helping many of them safely immigrate to Israel, and who also helped establish 5 nursery schools for Jewish, Christian, and Arab children in Tel Aviv, founded an early childhood development center in Jaffa to promote coexistence between Israeli Jews and Arabs, and built a kosher kitchen to provide food for hundreds of thousands of Los Angeles residents. Kurt Salinger, a Holocaust survivor who became a renowned professor of behavior psychology at Columbia and Hofstra, writing some 14 books and more than 120 research articles, and serving as president of the New York Academy of Sciences. Matilda Krim, a pioneer in AIDS research and an activist for gay civil rights, who was awarded a Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2000 by President Bill Clinton. Leon Max Linderman, an American experimental physicist who received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1988 for research on neutrinos. Sam Bloch, a Holocaust survivor who served for 50 years as an executive of the World Zionist Organization and was a founder of Bet HaTfutzot, the Museum of the Jewish People in Tel Aviv. Princeton Lyman, a Jewish-American diplomat who in 1984 played a critical role in organizing Operation Moses that literally saved the lives of 8,000 Ethiopian Jews by airlifting them from the Sudan to safety in Israel. Herb London, an American conservative activist, commentator, author, and academic, who was the founding president of the London Center for Policy Research, served as president of the Hudson Institute, and was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Harvey Cayley, who rose from poverty to build mini-circuits, a global leader in the design and manufacturing of RF, IF, and microwave components, and became one of the Jewish community's most important philanthropists, creating Camp Cayley, a summer camp for children, and supporting, among many others, the Ohel Children's Home and Family Service, his alma mater, City College of New York, Hatzalah Ambulance Service, Ezer Mitzion for blood transfusions that save people from dying of fatal diseases, many yeshivot and Chabad centers throughout the world, and JBS. Rabbi Aaron Monsenego, who in 1994, after the passing of his father, became the chief rabbi of Morocco. Rabbi Yeshayahu Hadari, an Israeli religious scholar and the first Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat HaKotel, a position he held for over 30 years in the Jewish quarter of the Old City of Jerusalem. Rabbi Shmuel Auerbach, a leading Lithuanian halachic authority who led the Haredi Lithuanian community in Israel and was the founding head of the B'nai Torah party, Eitz. Rabbi Raphael Grossman, who founded and expanded Jewish institutions in the American South, served for some 30 years as rabbi of the Orthodox Baron Hirsch Synagogue in Memphis, and was the first rabbi from outside the New York City area to serve as president of the Rabbinical Council of America, the professional association of Orthodox rabbis. Rabbi Isaiah Zeldin, a leader of Reform Judaism, who built the Stephen Wise Temple in Los Angeles into one of the world's largest Reform congregations, and who helped establish the California campus of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. Rabbi David M. Posner, who served as rabbi of Temple Emmanuel in New York City for 40 years and received HUCJIR's highest award, the Dr. Bernard Heller Prize in Arts, Letters, Humanities, and Religion. Rabbi Rachel Cowan, a convert to Judaism who, together with her husband, the late Paul Cowan, wrote Mixed Blessings, Overcoming the Stumbling Blocks in an Interfaith Marriage, and also co-founded the Jewish Healing Center to help people deal with the suffering that surrounds personal loss and serious illness. Rabbi Aaron D. Pankin, who was on the faculty of the Wexner Foundation, on the editorial board of Reform Judaism magazine, and served as the 12th president of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion until his tragic death when the private plane he was flying crashed in the Hudson Valley of New York. Claude Lanzmann, one of the world's foremost documentary filmmakers, best known for directing the 1958 film Shoah, a 9-hour documentary about the Holocaust featuring interviews with survivors, and who in 2011 was awarded the French Legion of Honor, that country's highest honor. Charlotte Rae, a 2-time Tony nominee who won acclaim for her television roles in Different Strokes and The Facts of Life, for which she received an Emmy nomination. Judith Leiber, a famous designer known for her small, crystal-covered handbags carried by many celebrities and several first ladies, and which are now on display in several museum collections. And her husband, Gerson Leiber, an artist who created abstract landscapes, prints, and sculptures, and whose works are in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the National Gallery of Art, and the Whitney Museum of American Art. Judith and Gerson Leiber were married for 72 years and passed away within hours of each other. Julius Lester, an African-American singer, scholar, and activist who converted to Judaism in 1982 and was a professor of Judaic and Near Eastern Studies at the University of Massachusetts, and was an award-winning author of 43 books for adults and children, as well as a book about his conversion, Love Song, Becoming a Jew. Richard Edgar Pipes, a Polish-American academic who specialized in Russian and Soviet history, and who, in 1976, headed a team of analysts organized by the Central Intelligence Agency to determine the strategic capacities and goals of the Soviet military and political leadership. His son, Daniel Pipes, is an expert on radical Islam and serves as president of the Middle East Forum on the Middle East. Jonathan Sternberg, American conductor, musical director, and professor of music known for his works with symphonic orchestras in the US, China, Germany, and Australia, known for introducing modern American music to European orchestras. Richard Siegel, educator and advocate for Jewish culture and arts, and one of the central figures in the Renaissance of American Jewish culture, creating the Jewish Endowment for the Arts and Humanities to provide funding for artists, scholars, and cultural institutions. Randolph Lewis Braham, who was professor of comparative political science at City University of New York and who twice won the Jewish National Book Award for his multi-volume works on the Holocaust in Hungary. Connie Sawyer, a film and television actress who appeared in more than 140 films and TV shows, and who was the oldest working Jewish actress when she died at the age of 105. Gloria Katz, who partnered with husband Willard Hayek and director George Lucas to write American Graffiti, and who helped shape the character of Princess Leia for Star Wars. Stan Lee, born Stanley Martin Lieber, a pioneer in the comic book industry and the mastermind behind Marvel Comics, creating such iconic superheroes as Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, and the X-Men. Arnold Kopelson, who produced 29 motion pictures and received 17 Academy Award nominations, winning an Academy Award for Best Picture, a Golden Globe Award, and an Independent Spirit Award for his film Platoon. William Goldman, a prolific screenwriter who won Oscars for All the President's Men and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and who wrote 2 novels adapted for the screen, Marathon Man and The Princess Bride. Marty Allen, born Morton David Alpern, an American comedian, actor, and philanthropist who joined with Steve Rossi to become the comedy team of Allen and Rossi, and to have a string of hit comedy albums and appearing 44 times on The Ed Sullivan Show. Martin Bregman, an American film producer of such popular movies as Scarface, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, Carlino's Way, and The Bone Collector. Frank Avrich, longtime Boston television personality who is best known for his portrayal of Bozo the Clown, for which he was inducted into the National Television Academy's Gold Circle. Stephen Ronald Bochco, an Emmy-winning television producer and writer who developed many of America's most popular television series, including Hill Street Blues, L.A. Law, Doogie Howser, M.D., for which he received the Writers Guild of America's Laurel Award for TV Writing Achievement, the Directors Guild of America's 1999 Diversity Award, and several Peabody Awards, being inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 1996. Howard Sacker, an American historian and professor of history and international affairs at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., who authored 16 books on the subject of Middle Eastern and modern European history. Bernard Lewis, longtime professor of Near Eastern Studies at Princeton University, who was recognized as the world's leading scholar of Islam and the Middle East, writing more than 24 books and hundreds of articles to become the most influential post-war historian. Bernard Lewis passed away at the age of 102. Charles Krauthammer, one of America's most respected and beloved conservative commentators and a staunch supporter of the State of Israel, who overcame a diving accident during his first year at Harvard Medical School that put him in a wheelchair for life, to become a regular on the Fox News Channel and an opinion columnist in the Washington Post and in Time magazine, with the distinction of winning a Pulitzer Prize. Neil Simon, the renowned Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning playwright who crafted more than 30 plays and as many screenplays, including The Odd Couple, Barefoot in the Park, Lost in Yonkers, and his semi-autobiographical trilogy, Brighton Beach Memoirs, Biloxi Blues, and Broadway Bound. Philip Roth, whose novels about the sex drives of American men led to some of the most probing examinations of the American Jewish condition, winning nearly every literary award for writers in English, and in 1998, receiving the Jewish Book Council's Lifetime Literary Achievement Award. Amos Oz. Born Amos Klausner in Jerusalem, universally recognized as Israel's literary giant, receiving the Israel Prize for Literature, whose many novels, translated into 45 languages, include his semi-autobiographical A Tale of Love and Darkness, promoting peace between Israel and the Palestinians, for which he was a fearless champion, being one of the founders of the Peace Now movement, for which he was also known as the Prophet of Israel. Zecher Tzadikim Livracha, the memory of the righteous, is forever a blessing.